This is Dino Dan from Cypress, California, and you're watching the Barbecue Central Show.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Sean Bono! It's all about the Sean Bono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 54 wieners.
Oh, listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
And just like that, we are into the second hour. It is the Barbecue Central Show, where we talk about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. The show coming to you live and direct from
Palm City, USA, Cleveland.
Still to come on this show tonight, me. You're not going to want to miss it. Set a timer. We say good evening to those of you watching this show tonight through one of our video streaming platforms, Facebook.com/BBQ Central Show, or you can go and watch on YouTube, which is YouTube.com/@BBQ Central Show, where we have a YouTube poll question of the week, and it started to slow down a little bit here on the run between no's and yeses. I'm asking everybody, did you eat a hot dog on July 4th? And currently 65% of you are now saying no, you did not eat a hot dog. As I had mentioned in the top of the first hour, almost had a hot dog. I did not end up having any hot dogs. I cooked a grand total of 5 hot dogs, the quarter-pound Schweens from Nathan's. Cooked them expertly on the Members Mark 6-burner Pro Chef series, the one that we were talking about last year, that for $600. I remember when Jason Kaplan was over a couple weeks ago, I took the top off of that thing, and he's like, wow, this is the one, the Members Mark grill you were talking about. I said, yeah. He's like, I can't believe that thing's $600. I know. Then we touched it and felt it, let him take the racks out, if you know what I mean. These are some heavy racks, he said. I said, yes, they are full racks, believe it. Cooking racks, I mean. And he said, wow, for $600, this is quite the feat. So, good for them. Shout out to James, by the way, who may or may not be listening or get it on podcast at some point. James Howe, my guy, over at Winners Products. So, no hot dog for me, and I only cooked 5, but 5 were eaten. Technically 4 were eaten. 1 was eaten by the deck because somebody bumped into somebody, and a lot of F words were thrown around because my daughter Bobby is a glizzy eater to the 10th degree, and 1 glizzy loss of life is one too many for her. She can't handle it. So she came in, all the adults are at the adult table. She came in off the deck and was hey, this effing Maddie just bump into. I'm like, whoa, with the mouth. We got people around here. You got your elderly grandparents around here. I'm not used to hearing such words. Shock them right along. So, sausage dogs are good too. Yes. Did you know that sausages in Australia, I think, are called snaggers? Or naggers? Snags? Snags, I think, is what it's called. Just saw that on a video that Stover Harger III sent me from Portland. Yeah, you gonna eat those snags? I gotta start doing that. Next time, when Just Pryles is on next week, I'm gonna ask if she is down with snags, what her favorite kind of snag is, and her favorite way to cook snags. See if she knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, if you're just tuning in, you've missed the first hour. You missed a visit with Dave Gafford from the Barbecue Lab. Shame on you, where we talk extensively about planning out an outdoor kitchen and how the first quote he got on the one he was building for his house was $100,000.
Get that big stuff
He did not pay it, but that was the quote. They saved a bunch of money doing all the work themselves except for like 15 grand of it or 20 grand, whatever he said. But still, like I thought outdoor kitchen scene, honestly, and this is from me listening to people who I feel are much smarter than me. You know them, no names please, rule number 1 of the show. But I've heard a lot of no names please talk about outdoor kitchens, and they talk about high-end $10,000 for everything. That's way off from the number that we just heard. It's crazy town. Lance Owens, realtor to the Barbecue Stars. I had a pretzel dog. It was pretty good. That counts. It's a hot dog. I saw somebody else say in the beginning of the show I had a corn dog. Does that count? Yes, it does. Smoking Joe's Pit Barbecue weighing in Australia. Hot dog, sausage on a stick, deep fried in batter, is known as a Dagwood dog, Pluto pup, or dippy dog, depending on region. All right. Very good. I would much rather have a pretzel dog, I feel, Lance, than a corn dog. I don't like corn dog. I've always had a problem with corn dogs. I think I ate one once, wasn't overly jazzed at the time about flavor profile, and decided I'm going to hate that for the rest of my life and never return back to try. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less this coming Friday, episode 390, taking you back to June 13th of 2017. And this week we feature the aforementioned Jess Pryles, whom you will see next week. And in this instance, we were talking about the new release of the Hardcore Carnivore Red Rub, which was the second offering. You would recall the first offering was Hardcore Carnivore Black. That saw a lot of virality and popularity. Me and charcoal rubs? No, not for me, dog. I don't... What do I say, gang? I'm always in the minority. Always. I rarely am going with the majority on many things, especially when it comes to food, especially when it comes to what's popular in the culinary world, the food scene, if you will. I'm always in the minority. And here I am again, sitting firmly in the minority, where the vast majority fell in love. Even Sam the Cooking Guy made a version of activated charcoal rub, a black rub. But Jess Pryles has easily the most popular activated charcoal rub on the market, I believe, at least, if not the world, definitely these United States. I don't like it. I don't like the way it looks at all. I don't think it looks appetizing. I think the way it looks also affects the taste for me, which, by the way, totally ridiculous for me to say that. Doesn't make any sense, but I'm eating with my eyes first, and I don't like the way that looks, so my mind is playing tricks on me, as the Ghetto Boys would say. I want to like it, but I don't like the way it looks, and quite frankly, you can't change how black it is. Activated charcoal is really, really black, and you can't lighten it up. So what did Jess do? She lightened it up in a whole different way. She took the same recipe, but then dropped some red in it. Now you have Hardcore Carnivore Red, and guess what? I like it. Just because the color changed, because everything else is the same. I mean, how ridiculous is that? It's just not aesthetically pleasing for your humble host. Activated charcoal. I don't get it. It's like taking a lump of any charcoal, grinding it into fine... Maybe that's the problem for me. I believe I'm going to taste charcoal. I know I'm not, but in my mind, I think I am, and it ruins everything. It just ruins everything for me. Anyway, we're talking about the release of her then new rub, Hardcore Carnivore Red. By the way, make note, as you listen to this on Friday, you'll be able to tell right away, she's on the phone. When the show actually had a phone line. So if you ever wondered what the show used to sound like, this is it. Your host sounding great on professional microphones and preamps and sound modulating, proper modulation, and the guests sounding like they were on the phone, because they were on the phone. The phone. Hello? The phone. So if you're wondering, that's what's going on. Anyway, we do talk about the amount of rubs and sauces existing in 2017. Certainly hasn't dropped off 8 years later, by the way. It only seems to be growing. My Heinen's and Giant Eagle both have 3/4 of one aisle, all 3 shelves available with barbecue and grilling related gear, rubs, sauces, and you name it. It just has continued to evolve over the years, and the offerings portfolio has grown quite substantially. And if you need a further teaser to listen on Friday, we do dive into a surprise horse meat conversation, if you can believe that. What's going on in 2017? If that doesn't encourage you to listen, I don't know what will. What do you want me to do? You want me to make up something? Well, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to lie to you. I'll do a lot of things. I'll be a hypocrite. I'm not going to lie to you. I won't do it. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the show by visiting thebbqcentralshow.com/subscribe. And you can email our pal John if you have a recommendation for a show, JON@thebbqcentralshow.com, and he will do his best to meet your needs or expectations. How about that? All right, we're coming back for more of me. But before we do that, we have to tell you about our pal Sterling Ball and the gang over at Big Papa Smokers. Oh, yes. You have to go to BigPapaSmokers.com. Why? Because they have a slew of barbecue grills and barbecue pits. They have a slew of rubs and sauces, both the ones I highly recommend, named Big Papa Smokers stuff. But then, if you are anywhere in the vicinity of having your finger on the pulse of rubs and sauces, skip everywhere else to buy, go right to BigPapaSmokers.com, and then buy there. There's a really good chance he's got only the most popular stuff available for sale, usually at a better price than you can get it anywhere else. They're always having deals. You remember the last deal we were running, like free shipping for 3 months. That deal's over. So we're working on new promos with Amy Acox, but once a new one rolls out, we'll share it with you here. In the meantime, don't wait. Tomorrow, there could be an announcement that Big Papa Smokers is not going to be selling rub anymore for some reason, and you'll have missed your chance to get your hands on your last amount. So don't wait. Time is precious enough to buy a fully loaded grocery cart of Big Papa Smokers rubs. I recommend the following: Little Louis seasoned salt, Sweet Money and Sweet Money Hot and Happy Ending, Desert Gold, Cash Cow, and Double Secret Steak Rub. But geez, I mean, they're all so good. And John Solberg tells me he drinks Granny's barbecue sauce out of the bottle. I'm not going to sit here and say John's a maniac. I'm just going to sit here and say he's a fan of Granny's barbecue sauce. I believe he also told me he always keeps at least 8 bottles on hand, just in case. All right, stick around. Be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by McAuliffe Cigars. Step into the world of McAuliffe Cigars, where each blend is a chapter in a grand tale of craftsmanship and passion. The portfolio, a symphony of flavors, each note carefully composed to create an unforgettable Nicaraguan smoking experience. Of course, the color line. I have been in correspondence with Amanda McAuliffe, Al's daughter, and she is in the process of booking a segment, so we'll get all the updates on the new McAuliffe Purple, what we can expect from a smoking experience, where we might be able to get them. In the meantime, you visit the website, McAuliffeCigars.com, and that's MICALLEF cigars.com, and use that locator to find a retailer nearest you. And I can tell you this, from a color series standpoint, and actually I've smoked a bunch of the other offerings as well, I have yet to find a loser. I mean, you just can't. They're so good. All of them are just a little bit different. Some a little bit more pricey than others. So if you're the cost-conscious cigar smoker, I say stay in the color series line to maximize number of cigars and dollar bills spent. My favorite in order, McAuliffe Black, McAuliffe Red, and then Blue, but I haven't smoked the Purple yet. Hopefully I'll get a sample box shortly and then be able to re-rate. But I love the Black and love the Red. It's like 1A, 1B, and some days the Red is better than the Black to me, but they're both 1A, 1B, and then the Blue from there. McAuliffeCigars.com. Many of you were asking over the course of the week, and I want to spend the balance of the rest of the segment on this or show. Many of you were asking, what is the setup for remote guests that you recommend? Because when we were talking with Malcolm Reed last week, I noticed that he was not in his typical location. He was set up remotely, but if I didn't mention it during the interview, you would have never known that he wasn't in his normal podcast studio where he traditionally does his monthly segments from. And then he went out of his way to say, hey, followed your recommendations on a guest setup. And that spawned a number of emails in over the course of the week asking what the remote guest setup should look like or what I would recommend. And I'm happy to give you this advice. And it's stuff that I have mentioned before offhand. I don't know if I've ever given it in this way, but if I can be a resource to any of you, please let me be a resource to you. If you're somebody that is a frequent guest because you're an expert in your field on various podcasts, and it can also be on radio networks because like traditional terrestrial radio, because a lot of those shows are using Zoom. And if you're using Zoom, you need to have at least a USB microphone, if not a little bit more of a pro setup to get that quality studio quality sound, because the hosts are going to sound great. They're in a sound studio. They have professional mics. Why shouldn't the guests sound just as good? And it's so easy to do anymore. So number one, the microphone that I'm recommending to everybody whenever they ask microphones, or when I tell people, if you want to get one, instead of me sending you one for your guest spot on the Barbecue Central show, go search Samson, Samson Q2U. The letter Q, the numeral 2, the letter U, Q2U. Samson Q2U. It is a dual connection mic. It is a USB connected into your computer directly if you wish. If you have some professional gear like a mixer and you want to go XLR into the mixer, you have that ability as well. So you can have dual connectivity. Now, you're not going to hook it up to both the XLR and the USB at the same time. Don't do that. Just pick one or the other. And it's very easy to do the USB. Shows up as a sound card underneath your outputs and inputs. And you set your sound input to the Samson Q2U, and you set your sound output to the Samson Q2U, and you are now off and running. Quite simply, the best sounding microphone, quality price ratio available on the market, and it's been like that for at least the last 5 or 6 years. However long I have been recommending guests, demanding that it's a rule that a guest has a USB microphone at a minimum to be a guest on the show going forward. That's probably 5 years from now, or has been over 5 years. This is the best one. It's $70. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Sweetwater, which is where I buy all my gear, sweetwater.com. There's just no two ways around it. It's a professional sounding microphone that doesn't break the bank. Now, if you're somebody that just wants to spend money for the sake of spending money, and it's a big D contest between you and your pals, whatever, you want to try and have a better microphone than the host might have if you're a frequent guest on podcasts or whatever, the Shure MV7, S-H-U-R-E, Shure MV7 is the one that you might want to look at. Am I going to sneeze? No. And I believe, I could be wrong on this, but I believe the MV7 is also a dual connection microphone. I know the Samson Q2U is. The MV7 might just be USB connected, but I'm not sure. I think that could be a dual as well. So if you want to just spend it because you want to show everybody you got a little extra spending money, I don't think personally you're going to hear any sound difference between the MV7 and the Samson Q2U. Also, if you're not using the MV7 right, I will tell you right off the bat that $70 microphone is going to sound better than that Shure MV7, which is probably a $200 microphone. It will sound better every day of the week. Then you need to get a set of wired headphones because, as I just mentioned a couple minutes ago, as you go into your computer audio settings and you go to sound input and sound output and set it to whatever microphone you got, now you need a set of headphones with that old school 3.5 millimeter jack, which something, if you don't know what that means, it looks like this. Yeah. No, it's not going to do it. All right. That's fine. You get the idea. The old school plugins from back in the day are like you used to stick into your phone when you had wired headphones. So get a pair of wired headphones with the 3.5 millimeter input jack at the termination end. And then you're going to plug that into the bottom of the Shure microphone or the Samson or whatever one you're going to get. So you have your sound input, which is your mouth going into the microphone. You have the sound output. So when you have this set up the correct way, where you have the microphone set up as both input and output in your audio settings, as you are talking into the microphone, you're immediately hearing yourself back. We call that self-monitoring. Now you can hear if you sound like a dickhead. Now you can hear if your gain is up too high. Now you can hear if you are not talking very loudly. Because you're self-monitoring. Don't be a tough guy and say, I don't need to do that, and unplug so you're not monitoring. Always self-monitor. It's really the professional thing to do. And who doesn't like to hear themselves, especially when they got nice processing on their voice? So microphone and then headphones. That's it. $70 headphones and around the same for that microphone. Remember that the headphones need to have that 3.5 millimeter plug. You know, this is not a wireless situation. If you have the old iPhone earbuds with the wiring with that jack at the bottom of it, those work too. You can save the $70 on the headphones if you want. You can just make it a $70 entry cost. This allows you to hear not only yourself, but as you are being interviewed, because you're a great podcast guest, now you're also hearing what's coming from the other side because all the sound is running through the microphone, input and output. So very key that you're able to not only monitor yourself when you're talking, but you can hear what's happening from the show that you're joining into. Maybe you're a co-host of the show or something along these lines. So that's it. Samson Q2U, best QPR mic on the market right now. Shure MV7 if you want to be in the middle of a Big D contest and you want to win. You could also buy XLR microphones specifically and then get a digital in-out or a interface, as they call them, like the Scarlett. There's a bunch of PreSonus makes one. A bunch of people make the digital in-outs, but I'm not a fan of those. Just get the USB microphone, much easier. Other things to consider if you want internet connection. So I always prefer wired internet connection versus Wi-Fi for sake of reliability, as I talked about in the first hour. David Gafford was making every effort to show up 3 months ago in his quarterly segment. He was on a wireless connection in a casino in St. Louis somewhere, and it did not work out at all. And it became very choppy. It was just not great. being able to have the hard-wired internet, the Ethernet cable plug into the back of your tower or into the back of your laptop, really provides a much more stable speed and connection when you're doing any type of guest spot or if you're doing a remote host job. That's why I never wanted to go anywhere for the longest time on the show doing some kind of a contest broadcast because, we got the Wi-Fi out there. No, I'm not going to do that. The minute I go live, that the Wi-Fi is going to shit, and I'm going to look like an idiot. He couldn't broadcast, couldn't keep a signal, kept crashing, kept buffering, blah, blah, blah. Internet connection is key for an internet show. It's got to be stable, it's got to be fast, or there has to be some kind of speed. Otherwise, you're screwed. Also, consider the room that you are doing the interview from. There are there a lot of, let's call them naked walls, just walls, not even a lot of pictures or curtains or anything like that? Is it just drywall or plaster? Are there high ceilings? Is the floor carpeted or is it wood or tile? Is the room itself sound treated in any way? Do you have audio sound blocks up anywhere? Do you have moving blankets tacked to the wall to absorb sound? If you've answered like no to all of these or yes to all of these, yes, my ceilings are high. No, they're not treated. No, there's no carpet. It's the makings of a disaster from a sound perspective on what that microphone is going to pick up, especially if the room isn't already treated. Also, you have to be up on the microphone. When you see people doing guest spots on my show, as we are sound checking a day or two before, I tell them, make sure that microphone is right up on your face. Don't hide it from the shot. Don't keep it just out of shot or just in the shot, but away from your face. Nobody cares about looking at your face. They want great audio because that's the vast majority of my consuming public. Audio podcast at their convenience. They're not watching you. They're not watching me. So get that microphone right up on your face. I always tell people, get it to where it feels uncomfortable and then move it closer. Moving it closer will help you overcome a lot of crap that is happening in your room. If you can't do anything about high ceiling, if you're not going to put carpet on that floor, if you're not going to tack moving blankets up on the walls to be able to suck up some of the audio slap that's going around that room. Trust me, this is all me learning firsthand experience doing it on non-treated walls. Sounded like crazy bad. But you can overcome a lot of these issues. How? If you are right up on that microphone, you get what is called the proximity effect. If you're not on the microphone, the more room sound issues appear. The closer you are to the microphone, the more the room sound issues will disappear. Again, because of something called proximity effect. I'm not going to get into the minutia on proximity effect, but just understand this. The closer that you are to the mic, the more the room shrinks in audio size, if that makes sense. The farther away you are from the mic, the more the mic captures everything else in the room, including your voice. So with you being right on top of the mic, the way you should be, it has no choice but to capture you versus everything else in the room. For example, last week, Malcolm was doing his segment from a new space. I knew it was untreated. I could see the floors. I could see the walls. It's new construction. All the trappings of a terrible audio experience, but you could hardly tell the difference because Malcolm had his mic placed right in front of his effing face. And he didn't turn his head away when he was talking, and he sounded great. That's proximity effect. That's why whenever you see somebody on my show as a guest, that microphone is right up in their face. Now, you say, listen, you're talking about all this stuff. You have no microphone in front of your face. Get that big stuff out of here. Yes and no. The microphone is literally right here. My finger, that you can see, like when my finger disappears, like the tip of my finger disappearing right there. The microphone is right here. In fact, let me see. Here's the microphone right here. Now, is it like right up in my face? No, absolutely not. But it is right here. I can get away with this because this is a specific kind of microphone made specifically for a sound environment just like this. It's called a shotgun microphone. It's very expensive. I've earned a lot of money doing this show through sponsors. I always reinvest this money into better sounding stuff. And quite honestly, this isn't even my microphone. This is John Solberg's microphone. I think we went over this a while back. So this can remain just out of shot, and I don't have to be, in fact, they encourage you not to be all up on it because of the way the capsule is and the way it captures the sound replication. So where it is right now, perfect for me, but that's why I still sound magical. But if I start to turn my head away a little bit and start to talk behind, then it doesn't sound nearly as good, and then I swing back around. Always stay on the microphone. Now, if you're looking to start your own podcast, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So from a gear standpoint and from a how to use it standpoint, like that's it, $120 or less from a gear, microphone, headphones, or save yourself the $60, $70 on the headphones. Use a pair of wired earbuds that you have left over from your old iPhones or iPods, and you're going to sound like you're in a studio when you're a guest or when you're trying to host your own show. And if you're looking to start your own show, different beast, happy to contract out my decades worth of experience to lessen your learning curve and also keep you from wasting money on shit you don't need to spend on your new show, at least not until you become financially successful at your show and you can reinvest money into it. Sound better, look better, get switchers and fancy stuff. Remember, I've been doing this show in some form or fashion since 2006. So I have accumulated decades worth of sponsorship money that I have reinvested into the setup that I have today. I would never tell anybody that's looking to start a show or be a guest on a show to get whatever this setup that I have is. That would be ridiculous. In many ways, ridiculous. And I did not go into debt getting this setup. It was piece by piece. It was upgrade by upgrade. It was trading this in and getting money and putting that money towards something else and then paying the difference. However I could save without sacrificing quality is something that I did. So hopefully that answers a bunch of questions that maybe you didn't even have. I know it was mostly what is the great guest setup because I'm a guest, or I want to look at becoming a guest because I have a lot of great experience in this niche or that niche. Is it niche or niche? I don't know what it is. If you have any other questions, you know where to find me. I'm your guy. All right, one more read, and then we're going to get on out of here. Let's talk about the barbecue diet program. That's what I'm on. Oh, yeah. Are you tired of diets that make you choose between good food and bad food? You don't have to anymore. David McDowell has cracked the code. Personalized fat loss coaching for barbecue lovers lets you eat the foods that you love, ribs, brisket, wings, and still lose weight, get lean, and feel amazing. This isn't some fad. It's a proven system that includes barbecue-friendly meal plans, tailored health strategies, and weekly check-ins. So you're never guessing, you're never alone, you're never forced to give up what you love. And if you want to be part of something bigger, if you want to surround yourself with like-minded barbecue lovers who are dropping weight, getting stronger, staying motivated, then online, the Barbecue Diet Group is where you need to be. Now, here's the deal. You can keep struggling on your own, or you can plug into a system that works. Join now, get exclusive access to expert coaching, real-world strategies, and a support crew that won't let you fail. Go to school.com/BBQ. That's SKOOL school, SKOOL school.com/BBQ. And take the first step, because you can have your barbecue and your dream body, but you have to take action. And I am in the midst of week 14 right now. Feeling better than ever. Looking better than ever. lifting more than ever, running farther than ever, quicker than ever. And I'm almost 51. The end is near, but I'll be running right till the end of it. And lifting. Feeling great. Hey, let's wrap a show. Why not? Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Green Mountain Grills. For 17 years, they have brought the smoke to the competition scene and backyards all over the world. The newly redesigned 2025 Primo 2.0 blends the proven technology of the past, technology of the future. Find out more at greenmountaingrills.com. That is greenmountaingrills.com. Jeff Cohen weighing in on the Instant Chat. Mr. Rempe knows sound, that's for sure. Helped us on the baseball and barbecue or BBQ podcast, depending on how you say that. Thank you, Jeff. Hope you're well. Hope your Mets have found a winning way. It only took the Guardians 11 or 12 tries to get off the schneid, but they were winners last night. Not sure what's happening as we speak, but could be short-lived. Are we on All-Star break now? Might have a couple games left. We should have those two back on so we can talk a little baseball and BBQ. Guys, I'll be sending the invite link out, so be on the lookout for that and make sure I'm out of your spam filters. Before we go, I did want to mention that July 4th was not only the country's birthday and a great eating holiday, but it saw the return of one Joey Jaws Chestnut back at Coney Island, bringing you the Joey Jaws Chestnut Glizzy experience and remaining the king of the Glizzy eaters.
Hey, everybody, can I trouble you for a yeah?
It was over before it started. Joey reclaims dominance over a field of what I have to say, no disrespect, that which means I'm going to disrespect a field of eaters that is nowhere near in the same class. These are classless eaters. They try really hard. They are not good when Joey Chestnut is eating hot dogs next to them. They are not good enough. It appears they may never be good enough. I was text exchanging with Steve Ray, Major League Eating's #1 fan and George Shea's biggest fan, by the way. He's president of the George Shea fan club, even though George Shea shined on him last year. Joey Chestnut is untouchable. As long as Joey Chestnut wants to eat hot dogs on July 4th, we will never find another human. We would have found him by now. Somebody would be nearing the potential hot dogs that Joey is clearing. I believe the final count was 70 and a half or 71 hot dogs. He was on pace to go through 80 hot dogs halfway through, but we all know the slowdown happens after 5 minutes. But still, he ate 70 and a half or 71 hot dogs and buns in 10 minutes. And there was nobody close. So the question is, when does it become... Let me re-ask. Is this an instance where you're watching the best that has ever done it? I doubt there will be anybody better in my lifetime from a competitive eating standpoint that will even come close to matching a Joey Chestnut on a hot dog eating stage. Not in my lifetime. Maybe in my kid's lifetime. Maybe in a grandkid's lifetime. Not in my lifetime. Nobody's going to be surpassing Joey Chestnut here in the next 20 years. Assuming Joey Chestnut eating over the next 20 years, I think can still do it. I don't know how old he is right now. He might be mid to upper 60s by the time 20 years rolls around. I don't know. By the time 20 years rolls around, they'll be 71. There's just nobody on his level. So will you watch, maybe a lot of you don't even watch, but I'm asking in a hypothetical. Is this an instance where you watch the best do it year after year after year because he has earned the respect and the title of being the best eater of hot dogs we have ever seen in our life? Is he afforded that respect from you? Okay, we know he's going to win. Like, this is the closest thing to rigged. This is the closest thing to a sure bet. A stone cold lead pipe lock as it comes in any sport, if you call this a sport. I'll call it a sport. I don't care. But we know he's going to win. So do you watch him year after year after year to see if he continues to pound 7 glizzies down? Or at some point now he's back, he did it again. Are you going to become disenchanted? Will it lose its luster? I'm here to say I'm watching every single year. As long as he wants to do it, I want to see that guy eat hot dogs. It's magical. I can't believe he does it like that. There's no stopping him. He doesn't even look like it's hurting him. It looked like he might have been pulling up at the tape, to coin a sprinter's phrase, if you will. So congratulations to Joey Chestnut. Glad to see him back in Coney Island. Glad to see his dominance remains. Remember, last year on Netflix, he ate 80-plus hot dogs and buns when he took on Kobayashi and creamed his corn. Let's get out of here. All the way back in the first hour, it was a David Gafford sighting. TheBarbecueLab.com is his website, and he's got a YouTube channel as well. At The Barbecue Lab, 137,000 subscribing currently. Then it was Robert F. Moss. We did a little bit of talk on brisket jumping the shark. We did a little bit of talk on Michelin Star Guide and the latest happenings there. And then we touched on mac and cheese. Come to find out, a lot like banana pudding. Late to the party, pal. Second hour, I gave you insight on what mic to use as a guest on a podcast or radio show. What kind of headphones, and then some other stuff. As we end the poll tonight, and it's starting to eat back just a little bit, about 7 points since last check. Did you eat a hot dog on the July 4th holiday? And 59% of you are saying no, you didn't. Down from 65 just a few minutes ago, believe it or not. Big show planned for you next week. As I mentioned, we'll see a Jess Pryal sighting. I believe a Wes Wright will return back to the show, amongst others. So looking forward to that. How do I always leave you? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. And until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American Greg Rempe saying, "Oh, that's nice!
Ooh, this is nice!
Hi, this is Monroe Stoll. I'm from Stowe, Ohio, and you're listening to Barbecue Central.